Hello there. Today we're going to make a nice dish including ham and Brussels sprouts, which you can use as a meal or as a side dish. So think about using it for either. It's pretty easy. It's so delicious. Here's what we're going to do. I have a ham steak here. This is about 1.75 pounds. I'm going to cut that in half and save half for another recipe that we're going to make on the Pasta Word channel later today. So we're going to use half of a ham steak sliced up. We're going to use a nice red onion, a large one. And I have 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts here. And these are whole sprouts, but I'm going to slice them into thirds, and I call it shaved Brussels sprouts. A little brown sugar, a little honey. Make that ham taste come right out. A little bit of olive oil and salt, pepper. So the first thing I'm going to do here is cut this ham steak in half and put the one piece aside for our recipe later in the day. We're going to be making a tortellini soup on our Pasta Word channel. I'll put the link there and you'll see it probably tomorrow or later tonight. Alright, this ham steak is from Wegmans. It's a center cut ham steak with natural juices, but it says it's smoked and fully cooked. It costs $7.77, so getting 2 meals out of it is really nice. And I'm just going to slice about half of it off and put half in the Ziploc bag for later on. So we're making the rest of this ham steak in our Creuset Dutch oven as the first recipe. We're going to cook in that later today. Okay, that'll be fun. Let me put this in the fridge. Alright, now this piece of ham steak, I'm just going to trim off any fat that I don't like here. And then maybe some of the outside edge. And I'm going to take the nice pieces that are left and slice them into strips. It can be all different lengths, but something like between 3/4 of an inch and 2 inches at the most. This looks like a very nice tender piece of ham. Alright, there's our little pile of ham. I'm going to set this aside on a plate. And the secret to this recipe is mise en place. When I say that, I mean to get everything ready ahead of time so that when we're at the stove we can assemble it and cook it real quick. So to prepare the ham fully, I'm going to take about 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and we're just going to spread this around on the ham. Toss it in there so it gets coated. And since it's already cooked, all we really need to do is heat it up. But we're going to deliver some nice sweetness to the bitter Brussels sprouts, and it's a great combination. Alright, on top of that ham with the brown sugar topping now, we're going to add a couple drizzles of regular old honey. And I often use brown sugar and honey when I'm making ham steaks or pieces of ham, because I think it just enhances the ham. Okay, Now we're going to set that aside by the stove, and that'll be ready to put in the pan. Now I'm going to use the Le Creuset cast iron pan for this recipe also. Alright, these are pre-washed Brussels sprouts, which makes them pretty clean, but I always will wash them anyway because they're kind of a rough vegetable. Now, I'm just going to take these Brussels sprouts and cut the end off, get rid of the hard end. With the piece that's left, I put the flat side down and I just cut through it twice, and that gives us thirds, which I refer to as shaved Brussels sprouts in some of the recipes that I've cooked over the years. So it makes them a little bit easier to cook and really nice bite-sized pieces to eat. So we're going to do that with this whole bag here and make quick work out of this. Take off any rough or ugly leaves that you don't like. Sometimes there are some that don't look so appetizing. Alright, then cut off the ends, cut it in thirds. And here we go. Tell you what, I'll take care of this big pile and I'll be back when I have them all sliced into thirds. These are real beauties. At this time of the year, we have some really great cabbage and Brussels sprouts and things like that come in for the winter, and they last a long time. So don't hesitate to get yourself a couple extra and keep them in the refrigerator. As we toss it in, I just separate it a little bit. It'll separate as it cooks, but I'll give it a good start so that all of the onion will start to caramelize as we start to saute this dish. Nothing like the fresh produce, oh my gosh. You can see how moist all these vegetables are, you know, and you're doing yourself some big favors by eating fresh vegetables. It helps to fight inflammation and keeps you healthy, especially during these difficult health times right now. Oh, the flavors are ready to come out. Then we're going to move to the stove, add a little olive oil, and start cooking. Now I am about to cry, but okay, let's get over to the stove and I'll see you there. And sprinkle it. I'm going to take a little olive oil and drizzle it across. And I have turned the burner on to high. And we'll let this, we'll get all the leaves tossed in the olive oil so they cook nicely. Doesn't take long to get this sizzling. And you can see what a lovely job this pan is doing. It starts to brown the Brussels sprouts within minutes. Alright, you can see they're almost done. Now at this point, you know, they are tender, a little tender. They're not completely cooked, but the onions are caramelizing. Everything's coming along nicely. So what I'm going to do here is take this nice sugary honeyed ham and toss this in. Oh boy. That will change the flavor of those Brussels sprouts. Okay. Mix it all up. Start thinking about getting ready to eat that. Alright, we're just going to let that simmer down. and let the flavors start to come together. At this point, I'll add some black pepper, freshly ground. A little spicy, a little sweet. Great combinations. You can add a little salt if you want, and I'm not going to add much salt. So feel free if you want to. I'm going to turn the heat down to low to medium, just to let all the flavors come together. Wow. Alright, here's a little sample dish. Let's cool it off and have a taste. Look. Ham and Brussels and some nice juice in the bottom too. That's a good combination. Try that recipe. Thanks for watching.